Most days are forgotten, but some days can define a lifetime. This is the story of a boy named Caleb who grew up in a tough, industrial town where hope was often in short supply. When Caleb was just 6, his mother passed away, leaving him in the care of his father, a kind man who worked long, grueling hours at the local steel mill. The pay was barely enough to keep food on the table, but even in their hardship, his father made one thing non-negotiable: Caleb's education. He'd often skip meals himself, tucking away every spare dollar for Caleb's school books and fees. By 13, Caleb was already the man of their small, drafty house. His day began before dawn. He'd make breakfast and pack a simple lunch for his father and himself before heading off to school. Their life was a constant struggle, but they faced it together without complaint. One evening, Caleb's father came home to find their tiny kitchen thick with smoke. The old gas stove was acting up again, and Caleb was coughing, his eyes watering as he tried to get it lit. His father rushed in, throwing open a window. "Caleb, look at you! You can barely breathe," he said, his voice laced with concern. "I told you I'd handle dinner when I got home." Caleb just smiled through the soot on his cheek. "But Dad, you're exhausted after a 10-hour shift. I want to help." His father's heart swelled. He put an arm around his son and said, "All right, you win, but not tonight. I got paid today. Let's go grab a burger from the diner." "My treat." It was a small luxury, a moment of joy that shone brightly in their difficult world. Caleb was a brilliant and determined student. Despite his responsibilities at home, he was always at the top of his class. His father's greatest dream was to see Caleb become a doctor, and Caleb was committed to making that dream a reality. But life dealt them a cruel blow. One afternoon at the mill, a piece of heavy machinery malfunctioned, crushing his father's hands. The damage was so severe that doctors had no choice but to amputate both. 5 months later, his father returned from the hospital, a broken man. "I had so many hopes for you," he whispered, staring at the empty space where his hands used to be. "First, I lost your mother, and now this. My dream of you becoming a doctor. It feels impossible now." Caleb sat beside him, gently taking his father's bandaged arms into his hands. "Don't say that, Dad. Your dream is my dream. I promise you, I will become a doctor, no matter what it takes." From that day on, Caleb's life became a relentless cycle of work and study. He attended his classes in the morning, and in the afternoons, he went door to door, selling cleaning supplies for a small commission. The little money he made paid for their food and his school fees. On weekends, he worked from sunrise to sunset. One week, nothing was selling. He was tired, hungry, and his spirit was fading. It was the final day to pay his college application fee, but his pockets were empty. By evening, he hadn't made a single sale. Defeated, he walked up to one last house thinking, "If they don't buy anything, maybe I can just ask for a glass of water." A kind-faced, middle-aged woman opened the door. Seeing Caleb's exhausted expression, she said gently, "Son, you look like you haven't eaten all day. Come in." She gave him a glass of milk and some cookies before asking, "Shouldn't a boy your age be in school?" "I am, ma'am. I just graduated from high school," Caleb explained, his voice quiet. "But I haven't made a sale all day, and I don't think I can pay my application fee now. The deadline is tonight." The woman's heart went out to him. "How much do you need?" "50, he replied, almost too embarrassed to say it. She disappeared inside for a moment and returned with 2 $20 bills and a 10. "Here," she said, pressing the money into his hand. "Go and build your future." Caleb was speechless. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he could only manage a choked "thank you" before running to the post office to mail his application just in time. Years of relentless hard work followed. Caleb not only got into college but excelled, eventually becoming one of the most respected surgeons in the city. He even opened his own clinic, and his father, now fitted with prosthetics, was bursting with pride every single day. One day, an emergency case was brought in: an elderly woman with no family and no insurance. She was suffering from a critical lung infection and was fading fast. "Dr. Evans," a junior physician said hesitantly, using Caleb's surname. "Her treatment will cost a fortune. I don't think she can pay." Caleb looked at the frightened woman on the gurney and replied firmly, A person's life is more important than a bill. Admit her immediately. For 2 months, Caleb personally oversaw her care, staying late and using the most advanced treatments. Slowly, miraculously, she recovered. On the day she was to be discharged, a nurse handed her an envelope. "This is your bill, ma'am," she said softly. The woman's hands trembled. "I'm so grateful, but I don't know how I'll ever pay for this." She cautiously opened the envelope. Inside, there was no bill. There was only a handwritten note on the clinic's letterhead. It read, "Your bill was paid in full many years ago, with a glass of milk and a 50 kindness." Tears streamed down the woman's face. Just then, Dr. Caleb Evans walked into the room, a warm smile on his face. "Yes, ma'am," he said. "I'm that same boy." "That day," he continued, "you didn't just give me $50. You gave me a future. You helped me become the man I am today. This was my chance to return that kindness." The woman wept silently, not from sadness, but from witnessing the beautiful, impossible miracle of a good deed coming full circle. It's a reminder that no matter how dark the world seems, a father's sacrifice, a child's determination, and a stranger's simple act of compassion have the power to change a life forever. When we give without expecting anything in return, we might just be shaping a future we could never have imagined.